It's New Year's Eve, the ball is dropping, the champagne glasses are raised, fireworks explode in the night sky. And at the very same moment, one of hip-hop's most talked about couples exchanges vows in front of their family, friends, and the world. Angela Simmons, fashion mogul, reality TV star, and daughter of hip-hop royalty, walking down the aisle toward Memphis rap legend and entrepreneur Gotti. Sounds like a scene straight out of a movie, right? But recently, the internet has been buzzing with whispers that this exact scenario might actually be happening. The rumor mill is swirling with talk that Angela Simmons and Gotti are planning to get married on New Year's Eve, a date that would not only mark the beginning of a new year, but also the beginning of their forever together. Now, let's be clear from the start. Nothing about this has been officially confirmed. What we're dealing with here is a mixture of fan theories, gossip site chatter, and little breadcrumbs left on social media. But as anyone who follows celebrity culture knows, where there's smoke, there's often fire. And considering the history of Angela and Gotti's relationship, this rumor isn't as far-fetched as it might sound. So in today's deep dive, we're going to look at their love story, where the wedding rumor started, why New Year's Eve makes so much sense as a possible wedding date, and what it would actually look like if these two icons decided to tie the knot as the clock struck midnight. To understand why people are even entertaining the possibility of this wedding, we need to rewind a little bit and look at Angela and Gotti's journey together. Angela Simmons, of course, comes from hip-hop royalty. She's the daughter of Rev Run from the legendary group Run DMC, and she grew up in the public eye. Fans first got to know her through reality shows like Run's House and later growing up hip-hop. Over the years, Angela built her own brand, becoming a fashion designer, entrepreneur, and television personality. She's also been very open about her personal life, including motherhood and her struggles with grief after the tragic passing of her former fiancé. Gotti, on the other hand, is a self-made star. Born Mario Mims in Memphis, Tennessee, Gotti built his career from the ground up, rising from underground mixtapes to becoming a chart-topping rapper and savvy businessman. Beyond the music, he's also made big moves in the business world, including ventures in real estate and ownership of the soccer team DC United. What made his interest in Angela Simmons so fascinating to fans is that he had openly declared his admiration for her long before they got together. Back in 2015, Gotti famously rapped in his hit single Down in the DM that he had a crush on Angela Simmons, a lyric that would later become a prophecy fulfilled. For years, fans joked about the line, wondering if Angela even noticed or cared. But in late 2022 and early 2023, the jokes turned into reality. Angela and Gotti went public with their romance in the most glamorous way possible, on New Year's Eve no less. They shared photos of themselves dressed to the nines, looking absolutely radiant together, confirming once and for all that Gotti's long-standing crush had blossomed into a real relationship. That moment was like a pop culture fairy tale. The rapper who had once manifested his dream girl in a lyric was now standing proudly beside her, and she looked equally smitten. But as with many celebrity love stories, the road hasn't been smooth. Fast forward to 2025, and Angela Simmons confirmed in an interview that she was single again. The announcement surprised many fans, especially since the couple had seemed so solid. They had traveled together, supported each other's businesses, and even shared heartfelt posts about their bond. For a while, it looked like they were unshakable. So when Angela said publicly that she and Gotti had split, fans were heartbroken, not only for her, but also for the dream scenario that many had been rooting for ever since that Down in the DM lyric went viral. Now, here's where things get interesting. Right after the breakup news, whispers began to surface that the couple might not be as done as the headline suggested. Some insiders hinted that Angela and Gotti were still in contact, working through their differences, and possibly considering reconciliation. And this is exactly where the rumor of a New Year's Eve wedding started picking up steam. Could it be that Angela and Gotti had not only gotten back together, but were also ready to cement their love in the most dramatic way possible, by surprising everyone with a wedding timed to the stroke of midnight on December 31st. So why New Year's Eve? Why would fans and maybe even insiders believe that this date holds special significance? Well, first of all, Angela and Yo Gotti's relationship became public on New Year's Eve in 2022. That night wasn't just a party for them, it was the official unveiling of their love story to the world. If they were to reconcile and choose to marry, picking New Year's Eve would be a symbolic way to close the circle. It would take them back to the night where their story as a couple truly began and elevated into something unforgettable. Secondly, New Year's Eve weddings carry a kind of cinematic magic. Think about it. The decorations are already glamorous, the atmosphere is celebratory, and the entire world is focused on new beginnings. For a couple who already live under the spotlight, tying the knot on a night like that would be the ultimate way to command attention while also wrapping their personal milestone in collective celebration. Imagine Angela walking down the aisle just minutes before midnight and their first kiss as husband and wife happening right as the fireworks light up the sky. That's the kind of imagery that people would talk about for decades.
If Angela and Yo Gotti really are planning this wedding, what might it look like? Well, based on their sense of style and the way they've already showcased their relationship, we can expect something bold, glamorous, and unforgettable. Angela Simmons is known for her fashion sense. She has her own line of footwear and is always dressed in chic, eye-catching ensembles. Yo Gotti, meanwhile, has a sharp sense of luxury style, often seen in designer suits and jewelry. Together, their wedding would likely be an event that blends elegance with hip-hop culture. Picture a black and gold color scheme, crystal chandeliers, and a venue overlooking a skyline where fireworks would go off at midnight. Guests could include an A-list roster of celebrities, Angela's family, including Rev Run and her siblings, Yo Gotti's collaborators in the music industry, and maybe even other power couples in entertainment. The reception would probably feature a mix of live performances, DJs, and champagne toasts, with no expense spared. Angela might wear a couture gown, something sleek but dramatic, while Gotti could opt for a tailored tux with his signature flair. And since they're both savvy business minds who know the importance of image, there's a good chance the entire event would be documented professionally, maybe even as part of a special feature or series. But before we get too carried away, let's step back and address the elephant in the room. Angela has already confirmed they broke up. So if this wedding rumor is true, it would mean a major reconciliation has taken place behind closed doors. And that brings challenges. For one, celebrity relationships are already under extreme scrutiny, and a sudden reversal like this would raise eyebrows. Fans would wonder if they were rushing things, or if the wedding was more about publicity than genuine love. Secondly, the logistics of planning a wedding on New Year's Eve are enormous. Venues are booked months, even years in advance, and pulling together a guest list, decor, and security on that date is no small feat. Unless Angela and Gotti had been planning this for a while, it would be nearly impossible to organize without leaks. Yet the fact that no solid confirmations have come out suggests one of two things. Either it's not happening at all, or they are keeping it extremely private and exclusive. However, but behind all the sparkle, a shadow has appeared. A new rumor has erupted online, one that threatens to turn this dream wedding into a drama-filled spectacle. The story? Glorilla, Gotti's protege, his Memphis superstar, his CMG labeled darling, allegedly isn't happy about the marriage. Even more shocking, whispers suggest she may have asked Gotti to meet her on a secret date before he ties the knot with Angela. Is this real tension bubbling under the surface, or just another exaggerated tale from the world of celebrity gossip? Tonight, we're diving deep into this wild rumor, unpacking the relationships, the history, and what it could all mean for one of hip-hop's most watched couples. When you look at Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti, on paper, they make perfect sense. Angela Simmons isn't just the daughter of Rev Run from Run DMC. She's a reality star, entrepreneur, fashion designer, and mother. She grew up in the spotlight but managed to carve out her own path, balancing her family legacy with her own brand of independence. Gotti, meanwhile, built his career from the ground up. Starting as an underground rapper in Memphis, he hustled his way to the top, not just as an artist, but as the CEO of CMG, one of the most respected labels in hip-hop today. Their worlds collided after years of subtle hints, playful mentions, and undeniable chemistry. Fans will remember how back in 2015, Gotti rapped in his hit Down in the DM that he had a crush on Angela Simmons. At the time, it seemed like nothing more than a catchy bar, but it became almost prophetic. Years later, Gotti got his chance, and the two went public with their romance on New Year's Eve in 2022. The internet exploded with memes, headlines, and congratulations. People said it was manifestation in action, proof that if you speak something into existence, it just might come true. Fast forward, and now the couple is rumored to be planning their big day on the same date that marked their official coming out as a couple. The symbolism is powerful. New Year's Eve isn't just about starting fresh, it's about celebrating their journey together and stepping into a new chapter. For Angela, this would be the culmination of a long and sometimes rocky romantic history. For Gotti, it would be the ultimate victory lap, marrying the woman he once dreamed about while surrounded by friends, family, and peers from across the industry. But as the fairy tale builds, not everyone seems ready to celebrate. And that's where Glorilla enters the picture. Glorilla's rise in hip-hop has been nothing short of meteoric. From the viral success of FNF to Grammy nominations and chart-topping singles, she has become one of the brightest stars in the game. And at the center of her career is Gotti, the man who signed her to CMG and gave her the platform to shine. Gotti has spoken openly about how proud he is of Glo, not just as an artist, but as a symbol of what Memphis talent can achieve. In interviews, he beams like a mentor watching his student graduate with honors. For Glo, Gotti isn't just a label boss, he's family. She's thanked him repeatedly for believing in her, for investing in her, and for opening doors that would otherwise have stayed closed. To outsiders, it looks like a solid professional relationship, built on mutual respect and a shared vision of success.
But when a relationship is that close, people talk. In the entertainment world, where rumors spread faster than wildfire, it doesn't take much for a supportive gesture or a private moment to be blown into a headline. And now the story isn't just about Gotti and Angela's wedding, it's about whether Glorilla feels sidelined, forgotten, or even threatened by this new chapter in Gotti's life. This is where things get messy. According to gossip blogs, Glorilla isn't entirely supportive of Gotti's upcoming marriage. The rumor mill claims that she feels unsettled by the idea of Angela Simmons stepping into the role of wife, which could shift Gotti's priorities and change the dynamics of his inner circle. And then comes the kicker. Some reports allege that Glorilla privately asked Gotti to meet her on a secret date before he says "I do." Now, what exactly does secret date mean? That depends on who you ask. Some fans interpret it literally, as if Glo is romantically interested in Gotti and wants one last chance to be with him before the wedding. Others think it's more symbolic, that Glorilla wants private time to talk, to clear the air, and to express how she really feels about losing her place as the closest woman in Gotti's life. Still, others think the rumor is pure exaggeration, a case of blogs twisting normal label family loyalty into scandal. But the very idea of it has already caught fire. Social media is running wild with memes of Glo crashing the wedding, TikToks imagining dramatic confrontations, and Twitter threads debating whether Glo is really that invested in Gotti personally. It's become one of those stories where fact almost doesn't matter. The perception alone is enough to cause waves. If we entertain the possibility that the rumor has some truth, the question becomes why? Why would Glorilla take such a bold step as allegedly asking her boss to sneak away before his wedding? Theories abound.
The first and perhaps most practical explanation is loyalty and fear of change. For Glorilla, Gotti has been a constant presence in her rise to fame. If Angela Simmons becomes his wife, that could shift his time, energy, and focus away from the label. Maybe Glo fears that her mentor's priorities will change, leaving her without the same level of guidance and support. The second theory is more personal. Maybe Glorilla sees Angela as competition, not in music, but in closeness to Gotti. Even if she doesn't harbor romantic feelings for Gotti, she might feel protective over their bond, unwilling to share his attention or influence with another woman. And then, of course, there's the most dramatic theory that Glo has deeper feelings for Gotti than she has ever admitted publicly. If that were the case, a secret date could be her last-ditch effort to tell him how she feels before he makes a lifelong commitment to someone else. Again, there's no proof of this, but it's the kind of narrative that fuels gossip blogs and keeps fans glued to their screens. For Angela Simmons, this rumor could feel like a nightmare. Here she is, allegedly preparing for one of the most important days of her life, and suddenly the blogs are filled with speculation about another woman. Angela has dealt with public scrutiny, from her reality TV days on Run's House to her relationships being dissected by the media. She knows how relentless and invasive it can be. But still, facing rumors about your fiancé's protégé allegedly asking him for a secret date, that's a heavy burden. Angela is someone who values family, faith, and stability. If she believes even for a second that Glorilla might be trying to disrupt her relationship, it could create serious tension. And even if she doesn't believe it, the public perception alone could cast a shadow over her wedding planning. Angela's biggest concern at the end of the day would be protecting her peace and ensuring that her wedding remains about love, not drama. The internet has been quick to pick sides. Some fans are rallying behind Angela, saying she deserves to have her moment without interference. Comments like, "This is her day, not Glo's," and "Angela has been through too much to deal with this," are all over Instagram and Twitter. These supporters argue that Glorilla, whether intentionally or not, is stepping into territory that doesn't belong to her. On the other hand, some fans sympathize with Glorilla. They argue that she might simply be misunderstood, that her loyalty to Gotti is being misinterpreted as something more. A few even claim that the blogs are fabricating the story entirely, using her name because it stirs attention. Still, the memes, the debates, and the what-ifs keep the conversation alive. And in the world of celebrity gossip, that's all it takes for a rumor to grow legs. Yo Gotti now finds himself in a delicate position. Whether the rumors are true or not, he has to navigate the optics. He's not just a fiancé, he's also a CEO, a mentor, and the face of his label. If he ignores the gossip, some might say he's dismissing Angela's feelings. If he addresses it head-on, he risks giving the rumor more life than it deserves. But under the sparkle and the hype, there's one issue that has sparked a wave of speculation and whispers: the question of whether or not Glorilla, Yo Gotti's Memphis protege and one of the brightest stars in the rap game today, will be invited to attend. Reports are surfacing that Yo Gotti wants her at the wedding, viewing her as part of his extended family and an important part of his legacy. Angela Simmons, however, allegedly does not approve of the idea, creating a potential clash that mixes love, business, and loyalty into one complicated pot. Tonight, we're breaking down everything you need to know about this rumored wedding drama, the players involved, and why one guest could become the biggest storyline of the entire event.
When it comes to Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti, their relationship has always had a touch of destiny about it. Back in 2015, Gotti famously rapped in his hit song Down in the DM that he had a crush on Angela. At the time, fans saw it as just another clever bar, a fun name drop that gave the track some personality. But as the years went on, the lyric took on a new life of its own. It became a meme, a pop culture reference, and for Gotti, almost a manifestation. Fast forward a few years, and what started as a playful lyric turned into a real relationship when Angela and Gotti went public with their romance in late 2022. And what made it even more magical? They made it official on New Year's Eve,
posting glamorous photos together that instantly broke the internet and confirmed to fans that Yo Gotti's crush had blossomed into a full-blown love story. Since then, their relationship has been followed closely by fans and media alike. They've attended events together, supported each other's careers, and shared tender moments on social media. But like all high-profile couples, they've also faced their share of challenges. Angela confirmed earlier this year that the two had split, leaving fans heartbroken. But rumors of a reconciliation quickly started bubbling up, fueled by sightings, whispers, and the undeniable chemistry that never seemed to disappear between them. That's when the boldest rumor of all began to circulate, that Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti were not only back together, but planning to get married on New Year's Eve. For fans, the symbolism was too perfect to ignore. Their relationship had gone public on that date, and what better way to celebrate their love than to tie the knot as the world counts down to a new year? Enter Glorilla. Hailing from Memphis, just like Gotti, she has become one of the most exciting new voices in hip-hop, with her breakout single FNF turning her into an overnight sensation. When Yo Gotti signed her to his CMG record label, it wasn't just a business move, it was a statement. Gotti had built CMG into one of the most powerful independent labels in hip-hop, with artists like Moneybagg Yo and 42 Dugg, but signing Glorilla added a new dimension to the roster. She brought a fresh, unapologetic energy that connected with audiences everywhere. Her rise has been meteoric, and Gotti has been right there, guiding her career, appearing at events with her, and championing her success. To Yo Gotti, Glorilla isn't just an artist, she's family. In interviews, he's talked about the pride he feels in seeing Memphis talent shine on a global stage, and Glorilla represents exactly that. So when it comes to planning the guest list for a wedding, it makes sense that Gotti would want her there. In his eyes, she's a key part of the CMG family, someone who represents not only his business, but also his hometown, his legacy, and his ongoing commitment to uplifting the next generation of artists. For Gotti, leaving Glorilla off the list would feel almost like leaving out a sibling. But from Angela Simmons' perspective, things don't look quite the same. As much as she respects Yo Gotti's role as a businessman and a mentor, Angela reportedly feels that a wedding should be an intimate, personal celebration. It's a sacred day meant to highlight love, family, and the people who have been by their side through the highs and lows of life. For Angela, Glorilla might be a rising star and someone Yo Gotti works closely with, but that doesn't necessarily mean she belongs in the front row on one of the most important days of her life. Another factor could be the glare of the spotlight. Angela has grown up in fame, from starring in Run's House to becoming a fixture in entertainment and fashion. She knows how quickly the media can shift the focus from one story to another, and she reportedly worries that Glorilla's presence could create a distraction. Imagine the headlines. Instead of focusing on Angela's dress, the vows, or the kiss at midnight, blogs might be buzzing about what Glorilla wore, whether she performed, or whether her presence hinted at behind-the-scenes drama. For a bride who has waited for this day, the last thing she wants is to feel like she's sharing the spotlight. And then there's the issue of perception. While there's no evidence of anything romantic between Gotti and Glorilla, and most fans understand it's strictly business, Angela is smart enough to know how rumors spread online. All it takes is one photo, one video clip, one out-of-context interaction, and suddenly the internet could be spinning narratives that overshadow the wedding itself. For Angela, who values privacy in certain areas of her life, allowing Glorilla into that sacred space might feel like inviting chaos into a day she wants to remain special and drama-free. On the surface, this might seem like just a minor disagreement about one guest, But in reality, it highlights a deeper clash between Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti's worlds. Angela comes from a family rooted in tradition, with deep ties to faith and legacy. For her, a wedding is a family affair, focused on love and stability and the sacredness of the vows. Yo Gotti, meanwhile, has built his empire by blending personal and professional relationships. His label is his family, his artists are his siblings, and his city is always on his shoulders. For him, excluding someone like Glorilla feels almost like denying a part of himself and what he's accomplished. This isn't about whether Angela likes Glorilla personally. It's about what the wedding symbolizes. For Angela, it's about keeping the focus on love and commitment. For Gotti, it's about celebrating all the people who have contributed to his journey. And while both perspectives are valid, they don't naturally align. That's what makes this such an intriguing conflict. It's not about one person, but about two different visions of what this day should represent. As soon as rumors of this disagreement surfaced, fans took to social media to voice their opinions. Some sided with Gotti, arguing that Glorilla has been instrumental in his recent success and deserves a seat at the table. She's part of CMG, she's family, of course she should be there. One fan tweeted. Others, however, backed Angela, saying that weddings should be about love, not business. This is her day. She doesn't need labeled drama overshadowing it. One Instagram comment read,
The fan reactions highlight just how divided people are. On one side are those who see Gotti's loyalty to his artists as admirable, a reflection of the way he treats his team. On the other side are those who empathize with Angela, understanding that weddings can be stressful enough without the added drama of potential distractions. It's a debate that reflects not only their relationship, but also the tension that often comes when business and personal life intersect. Of course, fans haven't held back from weighing in on the possibility. Social media is filled with comments from people who still see Angela and Gotti as couple goals. Many are saying things like, he manifested her, they're meant to be, or what better way to start the new year than with a wedding? On the other hand, there are skeptics who point out the breakup and argue that it doesn't make sense to go from single to married in such a short time span. Some even believe the rumor was started as clickbait or as a way to stir hype around both of their brands. But even the skeptics admit, if it did happen, it would be one of the most iconic celebrity weddings of the decade. The timing, the symbolism, and the spectacle would be unforgettable. So how will we know if this rumor has any truth to it? There are a few signs to look out for. First, an engagement announcement. While some celebrity couples have skipped engagements and gone straight to weddings, it's more common to see a ring reveal first. If Angela suddenly shows up on Instagram with a diamond on her finger, that would be a major hint. Second, insider leaks. Big weddings are hard to keep secret, and usually vendors, stylists, or guests let something slip. Third, watch their social media accounts closely in the weeks leading up to New Year's Eve. If you see them together again in photos, posting about love, or even dropping cryptic countdowns, that could be the build-up to something major. So are Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti really planning to get married on New Year's Eve? At this point, it's still just a rumor, but it's a rumor that makes sense in more ways than one. Their relationship began publicly on New Year's Eve. The symbolism of tying the knot on that night would be powerful, and the spectacle of such an event would be right in line with their star power. Whether it happens or not, one thing is certain. Fans will be watching closely as the year winds down, waiting to see if the clock striking midnight brings not only a new year, but also a new chapter in their love story. And with that, we'll leave the question to you. Do you believe Angela Simmons and Yo Gotti are secretly planning a wedding for New Year's Eve? Or is this just another wild celebrity rumor? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like if you enjoyed this deep dive, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Because if this wedding does happen, you can bet we'll be here to break down every detail.